Welcome to the final chapter of our Explainer series. Today, we're diving into the source material's absolute boldest claim yet, literally leaving behind what it calls the old matrix of infinite debt and stepping into a brand new era of sovereign digital wealth. Over our past explorations, we've really dug into the data. Now, we're looking at the exact blueprint the authors provide for navigating this massive potential wealth transition.
So the material points to this looming macroeconomic event that basically threatens to permanently freeze traditional paper wealth, while potentially rocketing decentralized assets to historic highs. While everyday investors might be completely distracted by the news cycle, the sources argue that the global geopolitical chessboard is making a highly aggressive move behind closed doors. In just a few moments, we'll unpack the specific signs the authors highlight regarding this monumental monetary shift.
Part 1. The old matrix ends.
Okay, so the authors argue that global debt limits are being breached at a pace that is, quite frankly, mathematically unsustainable. But here's the absolute most critical takeaway. It's what they claim is happening completely out of the public eye. They suggest sovereign nations are quietly scooping up digital property as the ultimate life raft against a collapsing system of debt. Basically, according to the text, these nations believe the paper currency game is in its final innings, and they're positioning themselves for the end.
Moving on to Part 2. Rise of the CBDCs. The sources claim that governments aren't just sitting by. They're introducing central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs, to basically keep an iron grip on the global ledger. The text characterized CBDCs as programmable, restrictive surveillance money. It's literally the polar opposite of open-source private digital assets. Under this model presented in the source, authorities could have the power to track every single microtransaction, program expiration dates on your savings. Yeah, your money could actually expire, and even restrict what you can buy based on compliance. Wild, right?
This brings us to Part 3, the global digital collision. The authors present this incredibly stark dichotomy for the future of money. It's like a massive fork in the road. On one hand, you have the CBDC model, which they describe as relying on centralized surveillance, compliance-based restrictions, and total vulnerability to infinite inflation. On the other hand, you got decentralized networks. The text presents these as unhackable, capped in supply, completely permissionless, and to own 100% by the individual. The source argues that anyone trapped in the traditional paper currency mindset risks severe economic consequences. They frame this as an absolutely crucial choice between two entirely different digital futures.
The source material sums up this huge shift with a really profound claim. They suggest we are witnessing the separation of state and money for the very first time in human history. Let that sink in. The authors draw a strong parallel here, arguing that as smart money exits the old fiat system and flows into sovereign digital property like Bitcoin, these decentralized assets are becoming this neutral, permissionless safe haven far away from traditional government debt.
And that leads right into Part 4. Generational Wealth Shield.
So how do you protect yourself? The text details a strategy to build what it calls a bulletproof financial shield. The approach involves dollar-cost averaging into hard assets. That simply means buying smaller amounts on a regular schedule so you aren't trying to guess or time a crazy volatile market. It also requires utilizing secure cold storage, basically keeping your digital assets entirely offline, locked away, and totally safe from hackers. It also stresses the importance of understanding whale psychology, which means recognizing how massive investors manipulate the market so you don't panic and sell at the wrong time. And finally, strategically using automated leverage systems to completely remove human emotion from your trading.
According to the authors, true wealth just isn't measured in devaluing paper currency anymore. No, it's measured in unconfiscatable digital property that shields you from inflation, bank failures, and government overreach. The text asserts that the wealthiest families out there don't value their legacy and money that can just be inflated away at the click of a button. Adopting this exact mindset, the sources claim, is the master key to achieving ultimate digital sovereignty and truly protecting a multi-generational legacy.
Which brings us to our final section, Part 5, the ultimate conclusion.
The source material leaves its readers with a literal blueprint to unplug from the traditional system. They suggest that the financial future belongs to the disciplined, the highly educated, and the patient folks who recognize this macroeconomic shift early on. The authors pose a very direct, final challenge to all of us. Will you unplug from the traditional matrix and step into this new world order, or are you going to remain in the old one?
Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer journey. If there is one absolutely critical takeaway from all these sources we've looked at, it's this. Never stop learning, definitely remove emotion from your strategy, and above all else, guard your own private keys. As we wrap things up today, I'll leave you with the provocative question at the very heart of today's analysis from the authors. When the history books are written about this unprecedented transition of wealth, which side of the digital divide will you be on?